Charles, it feels like summer out here.
It is nice. It is nice. I guess, we'll see. We'll probably have a big winter snapback, but so far we haven't really had winter in New York City in a long time.
Doesn't it end in 2 or 3 weeks?
Not only does it end in 2 or 3 weeks, I just discovered that daylight savings time.
When?
Next Sunday.
Oh, really? This way?
Yeah, up Broadway.
Sure.
Yeah.
Next Sunday. So that's good. I mean, that's a stupid thing that they should do away with. It's just changing of the clocks and getting confused about an appointment or two.
Right. Well, on the subject of stupid things, we live in the capital of stupid. We're not even lucky enough to be in the capital of stupid. We're working our way up to stupid between Tish James and this idiot mayor, Mr. Waxhead mayor. Mr. Potato Head.
We are at the international epicenter of stupid.
Right. Well, I don't know. We're worse than stupid. We're working up from stupid.
Yeah.
Too stupid. Really, but Joe Biden and the rest of them. It's absolutely astounding to me how much the fabric of this city has been destroyed objectively, and then what people who don't understand finance don't get yet is that the Tish James decisions to wage a holy war against one person.
Yeah, that hasn't even fully baked yet.
And we're seeing more and more chains go out of, more and more stores in New York go out of business, chain stores, small stores. More and more people saying, you know what, that guy Grant Cardone, the big real estate investor,
investments.
Canceling all his investments, and you can't unsee what Tish James has done. There are other Tish James lurking in the woodwork.
How about the criminal takeover of the streets, Charles?
Right, exactly.
So you can't run a legitimate business, we're going to shut that down. But if you want to skateboard in the middle of 23rd Street,
right,
or you want to ride a motorcycle on the sidewalk and threaten people who tell you you're not supposed to do that, that you're going to get out of jail for. You want to commit murder, that's fine.
And this idiot, this mayor, honestly, is beneath contempt. Not because of his ethnicity, but because of his complete absence of competence.
Yeah.
And he was criticized, we criticized him last week, I think, on this stupid debit card with Bob Bishop.
He's proud of that.
He's tripling down.
Yeah. But that says to me, Charles, that he's trying to protect his grift, because if it wasn't a big deal, people would point out all these problems and he'd say, okay, we're going to cancel that program. He's busily trying to tell people it's the greatest idea in the world because he's probably getting 8,000 out of every 10 given out.
Well, basically, I was involved on the board of a company once where, unlike most companies, where the chief financial officer is always saying no every time the project comes
experience.
Project's coming along. This guy was all in for any stupid project.
Because he was getting the money.
Because he was getting a take. And that's what we see in Washington, D.C., and Albany, and New York City. They always want to, quote, invest. It's not an investment if you can't get your money back with a rate of return.
Look at this.
Yeah.
This is not a parking spot.
Alabama.
Well, this is not Alabama, damn it.
Yeah. And also suspicious tires. So maybe that's a stolen car.
But just like the Hot Wheels, Charles. Right. You wouldn't understand.
But here, all this, I was going and doing some research on the scope of the government. And I also was asked to do an interview for a channel called NTV, N as in Nancy, on the subject of the cost of fighting obesity. And
The cost?
The annual cost in the U.S. of fighting obesity, one estimate is between 140 and 240 billion dollars per year is what some stink tag came. Yeah, but the point is, the problem in this country is not the obesity of humans. The problem is the obesity of government. We do not need to spend as much money as is being burned by all these different governments who, all they want to do is meddle more in your life. I mean, the picture, somebody juxtaposed a picture of Tish James, I forget with what exactly, on the subject of, this latest initiative of hers. At the same time, scientists are finally coming around to the view
the cows.
Yeah, well, at the same time, the scientists are coming around to the view that, wait a minute, this model, that the hockey stick model is invalid, many say. Actual scientists, actual mathematicians.
Hockey stick model of what?
Of global warming and the peril posed by it. Here we go, there's a party over here. party on the dance floor. What's that? Murder on the dance floor.
Yeah.
The same time that people are finally realizing that this is just, the sky is falling bullshit without any rigorous analysis behind it. At the same time that's happening, she's going to shut down the beef industry, she thinks. What do you look at?
Well, then we got some sort of high-end weed place upstairs. Look at that, getting ready to open, the Nomad.
Yeah.
So close the beef production industry and let weed proliferate.
I mean, her lawsuit is preposterous. She's saying she must have she has a department of silly arguments, right? Her argument is that this large beef processor lied about the impact of climate change, of its operations on the climate, and for that reason, this needs to be, the thing needs to be punished.
So any difference from her opinion is a lie.
Right. And then meanwhile,
unproven opinion.
Meanwhile, one viewer last week, we took him through it on some thread reader app, had gone in and looked at her campaign disclosure forms and her spending. Today I saw something that she spent last year on the order of $250,000 on travel outside New York. Now, what the hell is she doing outside New York?
Well, Charles, sometimes you just go to Publix and they give you a plane ticket.
No, I mean,
if you're Fannie Willis.
Yeah, my argument would be that if you're on the government payroll and getting a pension, if certain basic things are not working, if the garbage is on the streets, even if you're not in the sanitation department, you can't travel. You can't, until you get basic things done, right? You can't go swanning around the world to conferences and, who knows what, doing who knows what at considerable expense. I mean, $250,000 on travel in a year is a lot of money to spend.
Why is she traveling outside of New York?
A good question. Excellent question. So, and then you have here in New York City, we have the city government, we have the county government, we have 5 boroughs, we have state, we have regional associations, we have the
And by the way, no shortage of people breaking those laws. It's not like she has to go searching around for cow lawsuits.
Right, and in the federal government, we've got all kinds of nincompoops.
But it also coincides with this gigantic, now I think largest in history of Texas wildfire that also burned up a lot of those cows.
Right, well,
they said 6,000 cattle burned up from that company.
Yeah, so when I started out in school, I studied political science, economics with a focus on developing economies and also history. And one of the things you learn when you do that kind of work is that if a nation cannot feed itself, then that nation is in serious trouble.
Dysfunctional.
And we, with our resources, have been self-sufficient in food for a long time, but now we're careening into oblivion. Listen to the son of a Nazi, Klaus Schwab, tell us that we ought to eat cockroaches and drink poop water. I mean, somebody like that, with those kind of ideas, you just take him after the speech. You put him in the suit with the this thing.
Yeah, the space suit.
Yeah, and take him to this, the loony bin suit.
I thought you meant the suit that he wears that looks like he's from outer space.
To protect himself from hurting himself, because he's obviously insane.
Well, Charles, when you're careening towards a stupid plan, it's important to have Karine Jean-Pierre announce it.
Oh man, that person is pathetically stupid.
She's gaining a confidence in her own stupidity that's creating a unique. I don't think we've quite seen a media figure like her before.
Well, Jen Psaki.
But Jen Psaki wasn't.
She was really stupid.
And continues
to be stupid. But we have in Donald Trump the actual example of using executive orders to tighten up the border, and most recently, Latrine said that it is impossible for Joe Biden to use an executive order to control the border.
Why is that?
Because she's an idiot.
But what does she claim makes it impossible?
Here's the game they're trying to play, because they have the mainstream press on their side. The game they're playing, the lie they're selling, the misinformation, which is the basic staple of the mainstream press, lies is what it is, not just misinformation, and of our government, sadly, is that the Biden administration tendered a plan, a big compromise that was going to protect the border, and evil Republicans held it up and wouldn't pass it, and that's why we have the problem.
So morons who hear that on the news believe that.
Absolutely. They're the same morons, and these people, thankfully, are getting just slaughtered on social media. Yeah. The same morons. Is that where we just went?
What do you mean?
No, it's further north.
Oh no, the restaurant?
Yeah.
That was down there.
So there's these two white guys who've just written a book. They're both professors of bullshit, and they've written this book, which is White Urban, a Rural Urban Rage or something, a Rural White Rage or something like that.
Yeah.
And it is an insult to the degree-granting institutions that may have given these people credentials. It is an insult to educational charities. It's an insult to the publishing industry, and it's an insult to television that these fucking loony bins are allowed to spew racist bullshit that all white people living in the country are prone to supporting dictators. All white people are biased, homophobic, sexist, racist.
What's accepted as fact by many people now.
What's this?
That's a new weed store, it looks like. The Cream Smoke Shop. Or no, maybe Kappa Nara?
I think it goes all the way up there.
Oh crap, you're right.
So
It's the Korea Grill.
And you know, the idea behind grand opening sale over there, Speedy, 50% off all food, whatever that is. But the, you know, the original idea behind freedom of expression is that you would have these morons, let a moron speak, and then if the moron is really fucking stupid, repudiate that moron, which is what's happening. And you know, if the swamp thought that this was going to be the way to tamp down support for Donald Trump, they have made yet another ridiculous miscalculation.
Another swamp creature has reared her drippy, ugly head, Charles.
Hillary?
No, Barbara Quaid, maybe?
Oh, yeah, McQuaid.
McQuaid. She's a U.S. attorney, I think, from the District of Columbia, a retired U.S. attorney. But she's part of this whole Andrew Weissman, Norm Eisen, Lawrence Tribe,
parade,
Valerie Caproni, cadre of criminal prosecutors who are actually themselves criminals who, I mean, listen, the only thing I can really explain this with is I believe that Barbara McQuaid and, you know, Valerie Caproni and all those people I just mentioned, they actually think that they must do what they're doing. They think that you and I are knuckle-dragging morons that don't have, you know, we're just problematic troublemakers who need to be, you know, tamped down extra hard, and McQuaid and Eisen and all them think that about Trump and anybody who's trying to help him.
Well, so what you're talking about there is an appearance she had where she was pounding the table, maybe figuratively, not literally, saying that it's time to regulate people like you and me.
Misinformation.
Right, because all we do is pervade misinformation, and that didn't work so well.
Everything she's saying is true, trust me.
No. I mean, the lack of tension between the mainstream media and government is so great that it creates the opportunity for what you and I have been doing. And what we see in the quiet of the night, you know, Vice just went bankrupt.
It forces it to happen. It doesn't just create the opportunity. There's a vacuum that got filled.
Right, so Vice is out. The Wall Street Journal, it's rumored, is for sale.
Really?
Yeah.
There will never be a relationship.
CNN.
Buy it for $1.
Yeah, well, CNN is about to, rumors have it after the election, fire Tapper and Anderson Cooper and a few other and Chris Wallace.
Google, they want to fire the CEO because of Gemini errors.
Right, and the sad fact is, there's several sad facts. One is that people are very reluctant to think for themselves. Many smart people just want to identify a thought leader and say, well, what's Warren Buffett say about this stock? I'll just do what he says. The second thing is that when there's a gross offense committed in this country, most people just sit back and say, well, you know, let's give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe Hillary Clinton couldn't be that evil. You know, so they get away with their evil. They build on their shit for far longer than they should be able to do it.
And then they have the excuse of, oh, that's old news. That's been, you know, around for 30 years.
What we need is the figurative equivalent of the hook in vaudeville. You know, you get out on stage, Hillary spouts her bullshit, it's like off the stage. But we don't see that.
Well, you know, the other thing that people are upset about is Twitter brought back its misgendering policy. So people are asking questions like, is Bruce Jenner still alive? and testing what the Twitter, you know. I mean, again, it's people trying to decide what a fact is.
Right.
It's
Should we
weird.
Continue up that way?
Sure.
Yeah. So actually, this city looks somewhat cleaner today than I thought I might see it.
Well, it got all washed out yesterday, and we had quite a
I guess that's
We're
right.
getting so hit by radio noise. Oh, maybe it was that image. We had quite a protest yesterday, Charles.
Right. Exactly. And that's
We got to get out of
continu-
this radio well here.
all right.
Come here.
I'm just trying to get over there.
Yeah, but it's just we're just getting blasted by radio interference.
Okay.
Here, we could cross here. It's less bad. So yeah, we had a big protest, including they found a grenade in an Uber or a Lyft, and so the bomb squad went there, and then
Evacuated it.
well, but what was happening is the protesters were obstructing the cops. So if there was a bomb, and these people are like, oh, you know, doing whatever,
Yeah,
they're creating.
I mean, unfortunately, and we saw it with the early Black Lives Matter riots. Unfortunately, there's just a propensity for young people to embrace mayhem
Yes.
without understanding what the protest
Right.
is all about. And actually, last night I was watching interviews that mostly citizen journalists had with people who were protesting in support of the Palestinians, and they were saying, well, when these protesters shout from the river to the sea, what are they talking about? What
They didn't
river are they
know.
talking about? They're like, river? I didn't, what?
Yeah, they didn't know.
Well, what's this protest all about? Well, you know, I'm not really sure. I'm just here to lend my support.
Oh,
You know, I mean,
it's about killing you.
right, exactly.
Oh, well, that's all right.
That's one way to go
I'm
on
for it.
You're going on a 100% diet, right? You go. Well, I mean, we go up that
Sure,
side.
it is a beautiful day. I mean, we almost don't need a jacket at all.
In the neighborhood. Beautiful day in the neighborhood. But you know, the case against the case against New York City and New York State has been made, and it's not going to be unmade. And what people don't understand is that
We're getting slammed again.
we
with
want to get up
radio.
that way.
I understand, but we got to get out of that. It's just no one can hear anything.
All right, let's go
Here,
quickly
better. That's better. Wait for
All right.
that car.
after this. So, people who are on the fence thinking about where should I live, where should I site my business, should I invest in New York City and New York State, they're watching this and they're saying, you know,
bad.
even if a miracle occurs and we can go back and have a different president, President Trump, and maybe a sweep here in New York, city and state, that we get rid of this idiot mayor.
10, 15, 20 years to unwind
a long
this.
period of time. So if you can go out in the market and make a fair amount of money investing for 90 days, why would you want to, in liquid securities, why would you want to take the risk of making a capital investment
Real
in this
estate.
city? And look, everywhere we go, it's empty. You know? But I'll tell you what, Trump was hilarious on the victory speeches. He crushed Haley.
It's pathetic that she's staying in.
I know.
Ha.
They'd call the fight, if it were
Of course.
Just say,
I mean,
"Listen,
this is
go
like
home."
me versus Mike Tyson, and I'm on the ground bleeding, and the referee is calling the fight, and I'm like, this isn't over.
That's right. Yeah. Mike, I know where you live.
It's like, come on, Nikki Haley.
Yeah. it's-
And now she said, oh, they have to figure out all these criminal cases before the election. It's like, shut up, Nikki Haley. Who is it not obvious to that she's a Democrat?
Right. It's silliness. And actually, I don't particularly care for Reince Priebus, because actually I think Reince Priebus Jr. I mean, it's probably under theory that, well, I had to suffer through this name. Son, you're going to be Junior. But anyway, I think he's normally pretty much of a milquetoast loser. And this time, though, he was on either CNN or MSNBC, a panel. What are we doing?
Have you ever seen two people playing catch in the
Sure.
street
I used to do it.
in Manhattan?
Sure. Yeah,
After 1960?
He's Spanish.
That qualifier, Charles.
Right, yeah.
You can't.
Right. So what was I saying? So yeah, Reince was on this panel, and they get these sacrificial lambs to go in the left-wing panel, and they always try to give the Republican Party advice. These lefties, and don't you think that Trump and Trump supporters are running the risk of alienating this and that, and by being running so hard to the right, being so critical? And Brian said, he was good. He basically said in so many words, "You don't seem to understand. You're wrong. You're completely wrong.
Right.
People are out for blood. They see how horrible Biden's policies are." And he didn't mention those of Obama and Clinton and Bush, but they see how bad it is. They know better than the punditry, and they just don't want to hear it. They want a repudiation of this period. They want to go completely a different way, and it's not going to end in everyone gets participation trophies.
Right. Shake hands and call it a day. Those people need to go to jail.
Right. A lot of people need to go to jail. So
I am having difficulty having faith that will happen.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully we'll see. But I mean, the point here is that this is such an epic failure. And another thing Reince said is that in 2016, the economy was not atrocious, right? Now it's atrocious. I mean, look, every block we go, let's see if there's a vacancy sign at every block we go.
There is. No doubt.
And people understand this. People are getting fired. People are seeing the costs skyrocket. I went to buy, I'm sounding like my grandfather now, but I went to buy a monthly planner, and it was like $36
Wow.
for a plastic
Oh
cover.
yeah, milk went up.
And milk?
I told you I buy that A2 milk made by Amish people.
Right.
It was basically 12% price increase yesterday.
Well, and I just happened to be walking around.
It's $7.99. It's a lot for milk.
Well, how about this?
It went up to $8.49.
Well, that milk is good for you, right?
It is.
In theory, but how about hot dogs, which are horrible for
Right.
you? And the soubrette pack of like 5 now.
Now it's 4?
Is that your, well, whatever.
Oh,
It's
yeah, look,
$9.99. Maybach, that's a.
Why'd you park it here, Charles?
I would never.
Well, it's
have a car
obviously
like
the
that.
chauffeur parked it there.
Never.
You've reminded me, Charles, there's something very interesting happening that I wanted to share with you.
What's that?
Well, it appears that Elon Musk may be smarter than a lot of people realized, because there's something happening right now. So maybe you knew this, maybe you don't, but the Tesla Model Y, I believe,
I know nothing about Tesla.
it's the best-selling car of any kind of car, not just electric cars.
Of any kind of sedan, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
In that category, it's the best-selling, and it came out 3 years ago.
Right.
So something that Tesla did that was kind of shocking people, that they were saying, oh, this is a price war with China. And I think it's true, because I found out something important about BYD.
Right.
That goes back to that guy who was talking about the Porsche Taycan being such a disaster because of something with the law in England.
Right.
So this guy, same guy, very smart analyst of the auto industry, was saying that Elon Musk, so when the 3-year mark came up for Model Y, because that's the most common duration of a lease,
Right.
they dropped the price of the car by 25%. It totally jacked up the used car market, because those people who bought the car thinking they would sell it and make money and blah, 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 suddenly, no, the value of the used cars was lower.
Why would that help?
Because BYD was trying to come into the United States and really undercut Tesla. Elon Musk seems to have indicated that, by his calculations, the magic thing for electric cars is to make it $25,000.
Why would these couple
Come out of there?
Come out of there.
They like weed. Old people like weed, Charles.
This old person does not.
Some old people, you can eat it, so they like that. But
Instead of eating Kellogg's cereal for dinner, so that.
eat weed. That would be good advice.
But did you see that?
I did. And also I did have, not Kellogg's, but I did have some cereal, not for dinner, but I had some last night, not at breakfast time. But wait a second, so BYD
So it undercuts BYD, and you're saying that
undercuts BYD, and then also Tesla has an important, I think they invested in or made some kind of special deal with this battery company called CATL. which is, I think, the biggest Chinese battery company, and what this Australian guy who was talking about the problem with Porsche Taycans and knows a lot about the law around Europe, he was saying, he showed this chart of CATL and this whatever component they're making the batteries with, and this thing over time about how right now their batteries are half the price of what they were at the time that he started this comparison.
Right.
And he showed a hockey stick down for the price on these batteries.
Which would make them more.
And what he was putting together, he didn't outright say this, but it basically appears that Tesla, under Elon Musk, has kind of like shoved out every Ford, Mercedes, just shoved them out of being able to make a car that is remotely competitive.
Look, this is so out they don't even bother to have a sign.
Right.
Right. That's seriously out, right?
But see, then the other important thing is this then by YouTube, whether they know it or not, gets cross-referenced through the matrix of things that Jason is interested in.
Right.
Then an American guy who's an analyst of the auto industry, this guy is mostly selling exotic like Lamborghinis and things like that, but he was saying that it is untrue that electric vehicle sales are down, and that these letters being written by the dealerships, this guy was saying, I don't know if this is true or false, but he was alleging that this is a scam by the dealers and that they are artificially not selling electric vehicles, because the problem is, and remember, this rang true because remember, I identified with my car that Ford had to, in an incredibly short period of time, adjust the price of my car upward by almost 50% because of what I'm about to tell you. What this guy alleges is that Ford and traditional car dealers don't like electric cars because they require so much less regularly scheduled maintenance.
Wow.
That all of your every 5,000 mile, I become a customer of this Ford dealership where now every time I'm in there,
right,
I'm talking to my person and she's like, oh, maybe you should get a Raptor. And there's the other thing I wanted to tell you. Deliveries have begun of the Mustang GTC. So I'm holding off right now, but if you've got an extra 350 grand, I know somebody at Ford we could call.
Yeah, right. That's just what I need.
That car will be worth $1 million probably the second after you buy yours, Charles.
What could go wrong?
It's got a rear transaxle. The whole thing is carbon fiber. I think you would really like it.
The pitch is not going well.
Well, but anyway, serious note, it does seem like Elon Musk has turned the entire auto industry on its head.
How are we doing on time?
Oh, right. We have got to, now is the time we got to go to the First Amendment Forum. People can join us there in just a moment on odyssey.com/@crowdsourcethetruth, crowdsourcethetruth.substack.com, and subscribestar.com and patreon.com/crowdsourcethetruth. We'll be right back. And thanks to everybody who sponsors the show. And thanks for reminding me that we had to